Welcome back to Guff Stuff Weekly. My name is Guff.
I'm Javen.
And this week, I think we're going to delve into something that is a little different than what we've normally been doing. We're going to talk about, I think Javen will even be surprised about this one a little bit. I think we're going to talk about the cost of the industry and how much it costs to get into the industry, and whether it's the gaming industry, the hobbies, just all of it all together. Getting into painting, any hobbies. I like to just cover hobbies just in general. You know, we got war games, we got board games, we got PC games. We did delve a little bit into the PC world about how expensive it is and not expensive. Mm-hmm. But I'd like to talk a little more about that this week. So, should we start with cheap or not cheap?
Let's start with the budget entries.
All right, budget entry. What would you think is a budget entry into the hobby world that we're living in?
I think Dungeon Crawl Classics is a good budget entry. It's $20 for a core book. You get 600 some pages. You can run an entire campaign off of it.
Right.
I think it's a solid way to get in. Also, Apocalypse World is a great way to get into. This is just, I'm just going to glance
tabletop,
over some options for each one.
Yep.
Apocalypse World is a great, gritty sci-fi RPG, or post-apocalyptic RPG. You can buy the PDFs. There's tons of role-playing games out there by indie companies that want to publish their games, get people to play them.
Just get people to play them.
They're dirt cheap. All you need is basically access to the internet.
I've noticed a lot of the, even a lot of the indie games now are starting to get in on some of the VTTs, the virtual tabletops. Okay. Which is kind of nice because you can buy that $20 book, maybe even for $15 as a PDF.
Also, if you want to get into tabletop role-playing, a cheap budget option for VTTs, virtual tabletop, is Roll20.net. I've used it for years. It's free. It has support, so much support.
Yep.
And it's just generally a good way to go about it.
Yeah. I do appreciate a good VT. I have an expensive one, unfortunately. So I use Fantasy Grounds, which happen to be one of the more bloated, expensive ones to begin with. But you know, I got it as a gift, so I just stuck with it. I enjoy it too, but it is a little more expensive.
As far as getting into budget options for video games,
Caves of Cud.
Yeah, like
if you want to hate your life.
This is assuming, which is I guess kind of a dumb thing to do, but assuming that you have a console, access to a console or some sort.
Yeah.
Check out indie games.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indie games are your best entry in. You kind of got to wade through them a little bit.
Yeah, but for every $10 spent, you could get 3 or 4 games.
Yep.
And if you get 2, even 1, or even 50% of them are good, you're sitting good.
Yeah. If you want a good YouTube channel, if you have access to YouTube, which you should, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're listening to the podcast, you probably can get onto YouTube.
Splattercat Gaming.
Splattercat Gaming.
All he does is indie games. He does a video, I think, every 2 days, 3 days.
I think my son talked about him once.
And he talks about nothing but indie games. Then he revisits them if they get into major updates or anything like that.
Well, they get released.
Yeah. Try to avoid early access until you get a little bit more experience under your belt with video games.
Right. I think Steam's not a bad way to go and buy indie games if you have a PC.
Steam is a very good way because if you get up to 2 hours of playing a game or 2 weeks to refund it.
Yeah, and then you can. Then if you hit it during the summer sales or the Christmas sales, I mean, you can buy, or even Humble Bundle, because then you can buy like 10
Humble
games
Bundle's
for
a very good option.
$10, you know.
Humble Bundle supports
lots of
different charities and stuff too.
Yep. Yeah. So budget on that. I love some of that stuff.
As far as cheap video games, I like to get into a good options is the Kingdom series. It's a side-scrolling management.
Yep.
Very very relaxed, chill game. Has its stressful moments, but for the most part, it's a pretty chill game. Lots of free-to-play games out there on Steam. If you like shooters, Team Fortress 2 just got a massive update. That game is older than dirt, but it's still played.
Game's been around forever.
It's kind of one of the. I feel like it's one of the progenitors of the hero shooters.
Yeah,
genre.
It's an old game. I remember when it came out on CD, man, and everyone was excited about it.
If you want a game that you're looking at to play with your friends, I can highly recommend Smite or Dota. They're a little bit taxing to get into.
Right.
A lot of learning to do on it, but it's something you can really sink your teeth into.
Well, the key is budget friendly, and it doesn't cost money to get into.
Yeah, it doesn't cost any money to get into it.
That was kind of the idea, was to talk about stuff that doesn't cost us too much money to get into.
Yeah, that's for the start. As far as board games go, some cheaper board games you could always play, like Risk.
Yeah, I'd say just go to your local game store, your L.G.S, and play some of the demo games they have.
Yeah, pick the brain of the people there. Ticket to Ride is a very good.
Lots of times they'll have demo games out, and if they don't have table fees, and even if they do, they're going to be $5, usually $1, you know.
Yeah.
Then you get a couple hours of playtime, and
It lets you test the games out.
yeah, and then you can test out all the games you like, and that's, I mean, it's a nice, easy way to test out a game that you want to try.
Some of the other hobbies that you can get into, painting, miniatures and stuff.
Yeah.
A good way to do that is the L.A.G.S line.
Yeah.
That's a pretty budget way to get in.
It's a real budget way to get in for the minis. They're not the top line quality, but they're definitely good enough to get you into the minis and painting, and you can be proud of some of them you do. If you just a little extra work, you can make them really nice.
Yeah, and everything comes pre-primed, so you don't have to prime anything or anything like that. We have one guy who's basically a budget painter, and all he paints is L.A.G.S, and he loves it. And then you can pick up a bottle of paints, here and there.
Yeah, I tell new painters, I tell them to try out, especially when they're doing like big coats. There's nothing wrong with trying out apple barrel and stuff like that when you're just to see if you like it.
Yeah,
there's no reason to go out and spend $7 on a paint pot with GW or some of the higher end paints and find out you don't even like painting.
My intro was Army Painter.
Army
and you can pick up a good palette of colors for Army Painter. Vallejo also has really good.
I did find that Army Painter is the easiest one to buy off other people.
Yeah, because people want to move on from it.
They start with Army Painter. They're like, okay, and this is nothing against Army Painter. I use Army Painter all the time. I have like their speed paints and stuff are really just awesome, but it tends to be the colors tend to be more geared towards the more I don't want to say dumb
basic palette,
but yeah, they're not. It was never the high fantasy or the high energy that GW wants to bring to the table.
Yeah.
Army Painter was literally for the guy who paints up 300 Civil War soldiers.
Yeah, it was meant
and throw them on a table.
It was initially intended for, I think, Bolt Action or Flames of War.
It was intended for the more not so high fantasy, high color.
Stemming off painting and miniatures and stuff for your D&D games, I'd like to branch into wargaming, tabletop wargaming. Now, this is a hobby that's a little bit more expensive to get into.
Yeah.
But it's also fairly rewarding. We've been playing a lot of Star Wars Legion.
Yep.
And that's about $30 US dollars for a squad of guys. You can pick up the base sets for about $100.
Right.
And that gives you 2 armies around to play around with.
Yeah. And if you and your buddy get together, you can probably get by pretty cheap.
Another good way of doing it would be, I guess that's not super great, but GW has box set games.
Yep.
That a lot of times have models that you can use for different things.
Well, I think I just got one here not that long ago from GW that was, I think it retails at $59. It comes with a Necron army and...
Oh, the battle box?
Yeah, the battle box. But it's for two separate armies.
Yeah, it gives you enough so you could skirmish.
I think it's a $60 retail. I think. Don't quote me on that.
You could skirmish and learn the rules for that.
But I mean, it's about as budget as you get when it comes into that particular genre. I know there's some board games out there you can buy. There's Legion, there's Armada. You can buy big boxes that come in, or even BattleTech for that matter.
X-Wing was also a really
X-Wing,
good one.
Yep.
A really cheap one to get into.
Yeah, X-Wing probably would be one of the cheapest because that was like $29.99 for the. I think that's what it used to be. I don't know what it is now, but starting now it's probably $40. But still, you get the whole, the Empire and the Rebels to start with.
Yep.
So yeah, no, that's good budget ways to get into stuff for sure.
Really good hobbies that. Trying to think off the top of my head. I guess if you guys have any recommendations, feel free to post them in the comments and stuff too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, well, yeah, on YouTube or you can contact us through any of the formats. It's not too hard to figure it out. Um, yeah, budget entries. Okay, now we're talking high end. We'll go to high end now. We're
Okay,
done with the budget.
that's fine by me.
If you want a premium, once you get done with the budget, you're gonna move on to premium. That's just all there is to it because it's no, we didn't talk about trading card games.
Oh, budget
That's kind of a
trading
huge
card
one.
games.
There's a few. I would not start with Magic. I would not start with Pokemon.
I would actually argue the Magic is one of the cheaper ones to get into if
Yeah,
you're fine with drafting.
that's true.
If you want to play the limited and play Arena,
That's true. If you play Arena, that's pretty
it's
budget.
free to play. So collectible card games, that's a good way of doing it. Yu-Gi-Oh has, I believe, Duel Links, I think is what it is.
Yeah.
I might be completely wrong on
Pokemon has one too. I don't know what they call it, but Pokemon Online maybe. It's a pretty generic name.
that. Yeah, if you could just search trading card games. I think Shadowverse is another one on Steam.
Yeah.
That's a pretty popular collectible card game.
I suppose I was thinking just all card games in general.
Hearthstone is another good one.
Hearthstone, yeah.
Big one I'm a fan of lately was Duelist.
Yep.
That one just kind of came back with a resurgence from a Kickstarter.
Yeah, I think lots of these you can get on the PC or the console.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly, some of them.
A lot of them are mobile too.
Yeah, I suppose there's the bonus to being mobile, and they're free. You can spend as much as you want or not as much as you want.
Yep.
I guess. I don't know. I have played Arena on the phone and the PC. I enjoyed it. I played Magic Duels. They called it, I think, back in the day. That was on the console the first time I played that. That was awesome.
Duels with Planeswalkers.
Yeah, that's what actually got me into Magic. I was selling it, but I wasn't playing it at the time. And then someone says, "Well, try this game. Maybe you'll understand Magic a little better." And I did. I thought it was pretty cool. Yeah, we didn't. I can't believe I almost forgot about trading card games. Jeez, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk into the intermediate and higher range stuff now.
Yep.
As far as PC gaming goes, there's literally endless options.
Yeah, tons of premium titles. New ones coming out. I think I was watching a video, and all they do is talk about the new games coming out. And I think in this next month, in May of 2023, I think there was an average of 1.6 games a day coming out.
Wow.
And these are premium titles. These are not indie games. These are EA, Activision,
Yep.
these big companies, Ubisoft, putting out games.
I know one I'm super excited for, but I'm probably gonna wait for it to be on sale.
That's a good way to do it. That's a budget way of thinking.
Yeah, if you and patience is key, especially on Steam.
Yeah.
A lot of times you'll get stuff on sale. Cyberpunk's been on sale quite a bit. That's actually worth playing now, I feel.
I almost bought it. Almost.
But Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, right.
I'm super excited for
Are you
that.
going to buy that full release?
Probably not.
No?
I think it's $70 full release.
Oh, yeah. Katie was talking about that.
Um,
Yeah, my kid was talking about that.
the Resident Evil remakes are all really good.
Okay. I never got into Resident Evil.
If you like strategy games, any of the Paradox games are really good. So
Right.
Hearts of Iron, Stellaris.
Company Heroes.
Yeah, Company Heroes. Yeah, we talked about that one.
Yeah, more expensive video games. Sorry about that. Little interference. So more expensive video games. We're talking about premium games, which, of course, another way. So we didn't go on the budget thing, but if you want to play premium games and you want a little bit of a budget option, Xbox Game Pass is not a bad way to
Yeah, I've
do it.
heard a lot of good stuff about that.
And it's compatible. Lots of the games are compatible to your PC and to your mobile phone.
Nice.
As I've played many games that way now. Not all of them, but some of them.
Premium board games.
Oh,
I think the best way to go about that would be go to your L.G.S. local game store.
look at the one that weighs the most and play
Yeah.
that one.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven. I can recommend Scythe. It's actually
Yep.
kind of an intermediate. It's
Yeah, that's a nice game.
as far as games go, it's not super expensive. Not
Right.
tons of expansions.
I think it's what, $100 the base game.
Yeah, but you can play it over and over again
Right,
for
yeah.
$3.
Yeah, there were good premium games to play. I think there's a lot of premium games. I would say even Ticket to Ride and stuff. They're $60+ games. Those ones. But like Catan's a premium game that's not terribly expensive. There's always the legendary games and the deck builder games.
Yep.
Remember
Sentinels is probably my favorite of the deck builders.
I think that's probably more of a budget one though, isn't it?
To get into, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like $20-$30 for each
but if you buy
expansion.
all the expansions, it gets to be a little
I
expensive.
think I got I think I have all the expansions and the like foil cards and the promos and
All the
stuff.
fancy stuff.
And Ascension, was another good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
But and I think I'm like $120 in on
That's
Sentinels.
not so bad then.
So, and that's something you can always do too. Is like buy a base game if you like it a lot.
Yeah,
there's no need to go out and just go.
No, don't go in all in. In fact, I would absolutely recommend not doing that. Do not buy all in. You go into a local game store and you see that they have. I'll use Legendary for example, Marvel Legendary, and you see that they have the base game and they have. I think there's 20 some expansions now. If you buy all those 20 expansions, you'll never learn how to play the game. Never. Right. You'll be so overbogged by rules because lots of times those expansions will modify rules a little bit for certain ways to play. Mm-hmm. Same thing, I imagine Sight's not much different, and lots of these other games aren't much different. You start adding all these extra rules in, you just don't even know how to play the game anymore. It gets overwhelming for people.
As far as premium tabletop RPGs go, I think the two big contenders right now in the fantasy sector, at least, are Pathfinder and D&D.
Yep.
I would actually hold off on Dungeons and Dragons right now because they're releasing a new system.
Although I did hear that there's been a lot of stuff going on with the whole Wizards of the Coast WotC thing, and they're coming out with a new monster manual, player's handbook, and Dungeon Master's Guide. They are adding. They're basically taking a lot of stuff from all the books they combine and putting them into one, and then rebalancing all monsters, which seems very important.
Yeah, they needed to do
so that almost intrigues me a little bit, and I've been kind of irritated with them because of the whole OGL shenanigans that have been going on.
Yep.
But if they're gonna put all these monsters back in the monster manual, which will be basically it'll be standard rules, the SRD, I think they call it, standard rules something edition, I think they're called. You'll be able to get all those monsters for free if you just want to.
Yeah.
You don't have to buy these, $70, $80 books or whatever they're going to be, because the books are going to be up to 500 plus pages.
Wow.
Yeah, at least that's what they were saying that I was reading. 500 page player's handbook for Wizards of the Coast would be huge.
Yeah.
Like Pathfinder has a 700 page one almost. Yeah. But 500 is a lot for D&D stuff. It's the biggest one they've ever had.
What about
Monster Manual? Sorry.
Sci-fi role playing? What do we have for premium sci-fi? Starfinder.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of premium sci-fi. Well,
the End of the World series.
Sci-fi has always had a little bit of problems because it's never taken off like fantasy. Overall, like I can't think of any one system that stood out above the others for any long time.
A good premium role-playing game is The Invisible Sun.
Okay.
It's by Monty Cook.
Okay.
It's kind of a juggernaut in the gaming industry.
Yeah. I know Rifts took off for a while, but I'm sure they're still making stuff for it.
Oh yeah, they still are. That's definitely a premium one with all the books that they have.
Right.
You can always get into I just mentioned the End of the World series.
Yep.
That's pretty fun when you play as yourself.
Yeah, that was by Fantasy Flight.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a few. Fantasy Flight tried to come up with some Star Wars stuff. I don't know if that's still going or not. Which, the books were beautiful. They just used their Fantasy Flight dice and their weird narrative rules and stuff.
As far as premium painting goes, I think GW models are second to none.
Yeah, as far as the models go,
I'm not a fanboy of GW at all.
It's hard to beat GW models though.
But their models are phenomenal.
Yeah, it really
Citadel paint line is solid.
Yeah.
Vallejo is also very good. And then when it comes to paintbrushes, you can get pretty crazy with paintbrushes.
You can spend as much money as you want on a paintbrush. I don't like spending more than $20 a brush because it's ridiculous. But I found that if you buy that $20 brush, which is expensive for me, that I don't want to spend more than that. But when they come with sable hair and you paint with it, it lasts so long and they paint so nice. It's although I've had cheap Chinese brushes that do just fine on things I need them for.
Yeah.
So it's kind of I don't know.
Airbrushing is another
premium
entry into the hobby.
There's about 1,000 types of airbrushes. There are some big names. You got Posh and Iwata and
I've actually been using Grex.
Grex.
They're
Okay.
a newer company, but fuck if I don't love them.
Yep. There's a lot of airbrush companies out there, but
And you can find reviews for all this stuff on YouTube and things like that.
yep.
Dig a little bit deeper if you want. This is just kind of a general glance. What else? Collectible card games. Magic is a premium one.
Yeah, they all have their versions. You can play the cheap Magic online for free, or you can buy the cards, and you can get in a standard and play every month. Every 3 months they bring out a new set, and you spend a fortune.
Yep.
Which, I mean, none of us have ever done that, I'm sure.
looking at me.
Yeah. Yeah, none of us have ever spent any money on Magic, so. But anyway, I guess, that was just kind of going over some of the budgets and the premiums and just the different types of things. I mean, we haven't covered any of the other stuff in the hobbies, such as like 3D printing and what kind of computers to use for stuff, when you're doing VTTs and, consoles, if you're going to try and use consoles for things. And there are other companies out there that do use consoles. Mm-hmm. But that'll be a video for another, maybe even a video. Maybe it'll be a video for another time. You never know. But that'll be a podcast for another day. We'll get into some more of the hobby stuff. Would be nice to get into some of the other hobbies. Like knife making is always cool.
Yeah.
My wife's tried a little flint making. I've tried making pewter minis, molding and stuff like that. Making dice through resin casting and stuff. I mean, that's just all stuff. And stuff I don't want to leave off the table, but it's kind of hard to fit everything into one video. So we're just doing the primary targets right now.
Yeah. So hopefully that gives you guys some options and some ideas.
Yeah. So until next time, my name's Scott.
Yeah.
We're out.